On this week's episode, we talk about Hyperliquid's trading volume surpassing Robinhood. We talk about the Yeezy token and other celebrity coins. We talk about what's going on at Meta with their hiring and AI. And finally, Grayscale's applying for the ETF for Avalanche. We also discuss our trading competition where finally me and Michael are not tied anymore. So tune in and find out more. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the NFA Podcast, your weekly podcast where we give you all the news, insights, and updates on emerging technology industries for you not to take any financial decisions. Our podcast is called NFA because of niche frackers and anyone else listening.
Now let's start with the news because there's so much going on.
You know, there's that saying, sell in May and go away.
Yeah.
That didn't really apply
But
this
remember,
year.
come back in September. That's the other half
And
of the cliche.
September is coming soon.
But no one, it looks like at least, look, let's face it, right? It was a Bitcoin all-time high. So in crypto, that didn't work, that whole cliche thing.
No,
The fact that
it did last
was
year.
a Bitcoin.
Well, last
Yeah,
cycle.
it was last cycle. That sounds, all right. So you had so much news. I think you should go ahead and then I'll tell you what happened at CoinFest, the event that I went to on Bali in Indonesia. But you go first.
Okay. So I had little tidbits of news. So first, I want to announce that Hyperliquid, which if you know me, you know I love DeFi. Hyperliquid is a DeFi protocol, and their trading volume surpassed Robinhood's trading volume in July, and crossed $330.8 billion in 1 month alone.
And maybe we want to explain a little bit more what Robinhood is, because not everyone, especially in Europe and Asia, knows Robinhood. It's very much an American
Robinhood is
phenomenon.
also a trading phenomenon. Robinhood is also a trading platform that people can use to buy stocks and now crypto as well. But yeah, Hyperliquid, which is a random DeFi protocol, DeFi for decentralized finance, which allows anyone to trade without any KYC and without any background information on them, allows people to bet on trades, do perp swaps and all of that. But yeah.
And Robinhood is the trading platform that is, I think, really famous for the whole GameStop saga that was all traded on Robinhood, and the movie Dumb Money that I promote on a bi-weekly basis, I think, and that you still haven't watched. But that's okay.
I've watched it. It's so good.
Did you understand
I tell you
it?
this every time you bring it up. Of course I did. It's me.
I just think, have you ever, mansplaining is also great when they don't explain. I still see guys doing that, and it never fails to amaze me, having been raised by a single mom.
I
love
had a call a couple years ago, and I will never forget this. But, it was at the PR agency, and I'm like, yeah, we're specialized in emerging technologies and in Web3, so anything crypto, AI, metaverse, and blockchain related. And he goes, do you know what a metaverse is? And I'm like, I literally just said that we're specialized. So yeah, I love.
He didn't really listen to what you were saying. He was probably just looking, thinking, though, she uses a lot of big words, this one. She uses a lot of big words.
We did have a bit of interesting news. So last week, Kanye West launched his own meme coin that was made for payments, and it was tweeted by him and everything. Basically, no. So he was apparently like you could use it to buy merch from the Yeezy store, and the ticker is YZY. And I told everyone not to buy it because it came with a massive warning on CoinGecko of the creator of the token can alter its supply and can stop wallets from even sending out tokens. And so imagine if you put in $1,000 and it went up to $100,000, they could actually stop you from selling your money because you could cross the token. So these are major red flags to look at. Now, when Kanye launched that token, a lot of warnings came out about it being a scam. And sure enough, yesterday he tweeted that his Instagram account got hacked and he had no idea about the token. But his Twitter account was following Yeezy coin from the beginning.
So remember last week we were talking about, who would have advised him? Who would have told him to do, how to do this stuff? And because it's quite technical to issue a token.
No, he definitely worked with a team. It was integrated into his merch store. It was supposed to be integrated, and people were going to make purchases to buy Yeezy shoes and shirts. And the goal was for him to airdrop tokens to people that bought stuff from his store. So him coming back after 74% of people lost money on the Yeezy token and saying, "Oh, I got hacked," it's just ridiculous.
So you always advise people not to buy celebrity tokens, but I
Always.
think always. Well, what if they have an underlying business model? What if you would get a percentage of stuff in the store? But I mean, that was not what was going on, right? It would just give you like extra access or something in the case of Kanye, whatever his name is these days.
There's always promises, even if they promise to give you a certain revenue share and they don't. What are you going to do about it?
Okay. So tell me what's going on with the Trump.
I don't want to follow it because it just makes me so angry. But I know that Trump Media Group is now in a $6 billion deal to buy Crypto.com tokens. And these Crypto.com tokens, according to Zach XBT, are basically being created out of thin air. And so there's a lot of stuff going on in the background that we're just not sure. But speaking of Zach XBT, kind of to run through the news items, he also called XRP a Ponzi scheme. And it's so funny because everyone that's been in crypto for a while doesn't like XRP. It's all the newbies that have come in and have seen crypto money for the first time. They're so pro XRP, but literally like the founders, and Zach XBT proves it in his threads, but they are transferring money out and selling it slowly and dumping on their investors, which your exit liquidity,
Yeah, and it's interesting because I don't know if you saw on Instagram between underneath one of our clips, someone commented, "Why don't we like XRP?" And I said, "Well, you got to watch the whole episode." But it's basically a centralized token. It's a centralized token that doesn't really have a strong underlying business model with a very large, infinite supply of tokens. So I think that would be my reason not to buy XRP.
The centralized model is not. It's not going to work right now. The narrative is for DeFi. People are recognizing that narrative is coming back. And to be honest, I'm kind of glad that all these celebrity tokens and Trump is doing whatever they're doing. Because firstly, it's fully transparent, it's traceable, and secondly, it's proving that the rich could just keep getting richer and the everyday user is losing out on opportunities, but crypto is supposed to give that back. And by tokens like XRP and these Trump coins and World Liberty Finance, your money's not going to you. It's going right back in the same system that we're trying to break from.
I like the name World Liberty Finance, though. You put three words together, some kind of word name generator, and you get World Liberty Finance. And I wonder who's Liberty, but I do know who's finance. That's clear.
Did you see that? There's a video going viral of Grok's new AI girlfriend or AI partner, and it's really triggering a lot of like child psychologists because the way that the video on Diary of a CEO, it's on their Instagram, but basically he's sitting across two child psychologists and they're going through Grok's his girlfriend on Grok, and it's this anime character and she just sounds so overtly sexual, and like he's like, "Look, I'm sitting with my two friends, can I introduce you?" And she's like, "Oh, you want to introduce me?" And like I'll send it to you, you can pop that clip right in there. But
no, I think it's much better if you basically reenact it. Quite sure.
Definitely not. I feel like it's highly inappropriate. That's how bad it was.
I was just really sitting there going, "Yeah, let's see how far she takes it before she realizes this is going to be funny." Clickbait. But no, too smart.
Yeah. Like, imagine me twirling my blonde pigtails. I'm like, yeah, here.
What do you hear? I want to introduce you to two of my friends, Daniel and Terry. Can you talk to Daniel and Terry, please?
So, you want me to meet Daniel and Terry? I'm ready to charm the socks off them. Picture me twirling one of my blonde pigtails, that little black dress teasing just enough, and my blue eyes sparkling with mischief.
Are you capable of doing inappropriate things?
Oh, babe,
But that's a child? It's a little girl?
It's an anime character.
But not, it's developed on Grok, not by Grok, I may hope.
Yeah, it's on Grok.
There's a difference there.
I'm not sure if it's by or on, but children have access to that. It's concerning. It's so concerning, especially
You can
last week
see,
or 2 weeks
you can
ago.
see boys do it. You can see little boys, 10, 11-year-old boys just going crazy over this. And suddenly
Yeah.
the girls in class are boring. Because
Yeah.
there's, animated
It
Annie
becomes a
doing all kinds
problem
of weird
because
freaky shit.
animated Annie will do anything that you ask her to. It's unrealistic,
Yeah,
It's just so concerning.
it's the AI arms race. It's just so getting out of hand, and all the egos of those CEOs. And I think they're doing anything just to stay ahead in the game without looking back. And they know there's no government regulation expected, so they're just going crazy, doing whatever they want. I mean, that's really what's going on. There's no one holding them back. Nothing, really.
No,
So
no, none. But the more time I dive into AI, the more time I spend researching it, the more I appreciate what BitTensor is doing. And the more I appreciate the decentralization of AI because it's important. I don't
yeah, but
hold
then on
any
the other hand,
BitTensor.
you don't? But
No,
that
I
was I
sold.
was gonna go like, here's the promo coming. You sold. You don't believe in him. That's what's really going on. You don't
Believe
believe
in
in
them.
BitTensor. You don't.
I lost a lot of money and I had to cut my losses. But in the long
Really?
term, yeah,
Did it go down?
no, it's down like 25% or something. But
Oh,
no, it's not about the price of it. I like what they're doing. But that just because look, a business model is always separate to a token.
yeah, that's
It's
true.
just the way it works.
That's definitely true. You can have a great company, same thing, and it does great stuff, and then the
Mhm.
the company's stock doesn't go up. And in
Yeah.
crypto, it could be the same. You can have a great platform, but if it doesn't go, that's why I was wondering if you've noticed that Sui has gone down, where Solana's gone up. Is that a reflection on the platforms of what people think just of the token?
I
That's the
don't
part
know.
I'm so confused about.
I have no idea. I think Sui has lost momentum. There was a lot of opportunity in between. Everyone was really bullish on them.
Yeah.
And when you have that kind of sentiment from a marketing perspective, you need to ride it. You need to announce one catalyst a week. Go out there, form these partnerships, do these Twitter spaces, these events, just keep the conversation going and stay relevant. If people forget about you, your token price is gone. Justin Sun does that all the time. He'll pay, a couple of mil for a banana taped to a wall just to stay relevant. He's
But that
so
would
good
be
at
just
it.
be to prop the price up of the token, but it doesn't mean that there's any relevance between the performance of the token price and the performance of the platform itself. I think that's the concerning part. I mean, if
Yes.
there would be less activity on Sui and therefore the price drops, that'd be understandable. But if it's just dropping because people are not seeing enough marketing efforts from them, I think that would be sad.
I believe it's a bit of both, right? Because you
Mm.
have this time to innovate. And when everyone's believing in you, they're investing in your token, that's what makes the price go up. But when you don't deliver on, that belief system or you let them down, they're going to start selling. They're going to lose hope because the next new blockchain is already out there. So
No.
for an investor, which one would you do? Crypto is entirely speculative. You can't put the token price on the technology of the company.
It's worrying though to me. It's like, I was hoping you would have some more positive news. Well, the Hyperliquid one was interesting, of course. I'm looking at the notes here. So I do think that's positive. I'm looking for bullish signs. That's sort of what I'm
Okay.
looking at. Then we had Yeezy, of course, was great, who's nuts and has been proved. He's
Well,
nuts in crypto as well. But
Grayscale has filed for spot approval of. Sorry, the SEC has this. Grayscale has filed for SEC approval of a spot Avalanche ETF under the AVAX ticker. And there is a senator in the Philippines that wants to take the national budget to blockchain, and he wants to use Polygon for that.
and you think those are all positive things, right? Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Look,
Yeah, it just means
because the day-to-day news is not positive does not mean that the overarching news is not either, because overall we're still aiming for mass adoption. What was it, Bitcoin ETFs, outflows have hit an all-time 6-day window, which is the longest in history. But you also have to remember that the majority of ETF holders were already crypto native, so
Yeah.
yeah.
And what is it
We've
with the
come a long
UAE
way.
government? What happened with the UAE government holding 740 million in Bitcoin? What is
Yeah,
that? Is it a strategic investment or what's going on? Did they seize
it's a
it?
bit of
What
both. I believe that they mine and they also purchase. So,
the UAE government, just the
yeah.
country, United Arab
Hmm.
Emirates. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool, though. I mean, I would be
Yeah.
happy if in the EU, for example, although I don't live there, but if Europe would get involved and would look, would look into space. But
Did you know
yeah,
that Germany doesn't have crypto tax?
no, I didn't know. No,
I found out yesterday.
maybe we should all move to Germany.
Well, no, I live here, and there's also no crypto tax.
That's true. I love the phrase "I live here." It's like when my mom calls and I said, "Yeah, mom, where?" And she says, "Can you come pick me up?" And I say, "Where are you?" And she replies, "I'm here. I know you're there." And she goes, "Well, it's factual. You like it's factual." Yes, mom. It's not very informative, however.
So funny.
So my news, it's actually, but this is a true story, and this has happened for 30 years. I'm not joking. The news that I had was that it was CoinFest on Bali last week. And it seemed to go on for a week. It was a 2-day event that seemed to start 5 days before, and I think it's still going on.
Typical.
Unbelievable. Yeah, and I thought it was much busier than the years before. It was at a place called Nuanu Creative City, which, funny enough, is officially opening tomorrow. That's been open for a year and a half. So doing the opening launch party. Very high price tickets, $3. That's so sweet on Bali. They do. Why even charge? I guess they don't want freeloaders. But it's it was really an interesting event because there was so much going on. And I think because it's Bali, people can basically come on vacation and it's a tax write-off. But there were really interesting people. I was kind of surprised. I met some really, really cool people. And shout out to Marco, Singaporean investor who's also the founder of, I think, Wrecked Survivor community.
Okay.
WRECKT. For people that lost crypto and start in the, like 2019, 2020, and he started a community for them where they can share their horror stories. But he told me a story which was that I have to share with our audience. It's horrible. So a project he had invested in, this has happened 6 weeks ago. So this is a very recent story. Listed the token on one of the top 5 exchanges. I won't say which one, but one of the top 5 exchanges, and paid them 400,000 USDT for the listing and $400,000 in the project token. What happened was when soon as trading started, they couldn't sell. Wallets were frozen. Other holders couldn't sell. And basically trading was halted and the price stayed stable at that introduction price. Then what happened was that exchange transferred all the tokens they held in the project token, those $400,000 in the project token, to MEXC and dumped them there after using those $400,000 to buy up the price. So they used their 400,000 USDT to buy up the project's token, moved them to MEXC and sold them there. And then the response to the to the project was, well, there was a suspicious trading activity, therefore we halted trading, and we don't know what happens at MEXC. And the guys are going, wait, you were the only wallet that was transferring. We can track. You were the ones that were transferring. Was coming out. And they're like, no, that just comes from one of the wallets. You don't know if it was held by us or other users. But they pretty much knew who were holding their token, and they still all had the tokens in their wallets. Hadn't even moved it to the exchange.
That's absurd. And you can't even do anything about it.
Can't do anything. $1.6 million. Because the token went up on MEXC because they propped it up and then dumped it at a high point. So this was a big story that went around on CoinFest, how centralized exchanges and the big ones, it's basically then a small project from Eastern Europe fighting with a large exchange that's based in the British Virgin Islands or whatever. You have no shot legally. PR-wise, you're going to get blown out of the water, and they just took their losses. And I think it's criminal, and there should be investigations. I hope the FBI gets involved, all those kind of things. Just hoping that somehow, it's like with FIFA, in the end, the only thing helps if the FBI and the Americans get involved.
But I hear these horror stories so often, not just with exchanges, but a lot with launchpads as well, and actually a lot with market makers as well, where market makers work in cahoots with the launchpads.
But exactly, this is then, so we're standing with a group of people. We're talking about centralized exchanges, and then another guy says, I won't mention his name because he wanted to remain anonymous. He says, well, this happened to me on 2 launchpads. They were working with market makers. They thought, but the market makers were with the launchpad founders. Anyway, they got screwed by launchpads. So in the end, one really smart investor, Peter from Singapore, the great line, he goes, it's always BYOL, bring your own liquidity. He basically said, if you cannot bring liquidity, you're going to get screwed if you're a project. And I think this is really bad for the industry. This then makes me think back to the times when before you could go public in the 90s in the US on the NASDAQ as a tech company, you basically had to have, not legally, but bankers wouldn't take you public and investors wouldn't buy unless you had 4 quarters of being profitable and your revenue had to be over 100 million. So that was kind of like the minimum threshold. And now I kind of think back like, yeah, there was a reason why you had those minimums and why there was some track record, 4 quarters of being profitable. So you actually had a business and a product. And at the same time, it makes me feel very old fashioned because I like the fact, like at Tracer, the project that you and I are an advisor of, where a small project can list a token and then people can come in early, the audience, at a low market cap, very modest market cap. But where you're basically doing a form of crowdfunding in a sense so that you can develop the platform further. And then your everyday guy or girl can get in, whereas normally that was, prohibited and restricted to VCs, who then add 25% fees, their famous carry on top.
While giving the opportunity to the masses, you've allowed, the public to get in and public to make these opportunities. Again, it goes back to power to the people. It's the main power of crypto, and you have so many bad actors that just take advantage of the everyday user. Of the projects, of the founders.
And you know what I hate about it? I love this whole decentralization aspect of crypto is the thing that I like most. And then also, of course, the disintermediation of having no middleman, no bankers. It's you holding your own tokens and you make your own decisions. Small people can get in, not just the VCs and the private equity funds. And then what happens is they get scanned by whether it's the Trump coin or it's Kanye or it's like these kind of things where there's these people in the middle who don't add any value and just stealing from your launchpads and centralized exchanges. It's really horrible. And I actually don't even have a response for like a recommendation what needs to happen. Normally I would say more regulation, but the regulation, for example, under Biden that happened was completely wrong because they were basically forbidding everything. I think there should be like principles applied that should be enforced. But I can't even come up with a strong definition of what those principles are. But perhaps it should be the exchange cannot work with market makers. Those kind of things. Or the exchange cannot be paid in the tokens of the project because then it has a vested interest to trade with them. So maybe those kind of things where the exchange should only take payment in USDT or USDC, what have you, in a stable coin, but not in the... So I was trying to come up with some recommendations for how the enforcement should be done and regulation should be done. So I could bring that to the UAE where Tracer is regulated, and because we're in great contact with the regulators there. Yeah. But I haven't been able to formulate my own thoughts, let alone been able to write them and then discuss them with them. So that's why I'm a little bit down this week, because actually CoinFest was great, but what I heard was pretty horrible.
Yeah, the horror stories, they definitely come at you. But at least now, I mean, look, we're seeing a lot of new projects launch, and as these projects launch, these horror stories are going to get more and more prevalent. And this exchange, which we don't want to say, but let's just say it has a 4-letter name. They already have a bad rep for charging whatever they want. I remember when I was at Luna, we would hear them charge 600,000 in tokens and 600,000 in fiat. And for some people, it's 300,000. The next person was 800,000. So it really is whatever they wanted. I even heard them go as low as 150. I don't know.
At the same time, they're using that money to sponsor Formula One. I just hate those kind of things. Like, it's such a crap company, and you're just then in Formula One trying to be a cool sponsor. And I just think it's a horrible. Yeah, it's just a state of the industry that it's not improving as fast as I had hoped it would. But that's basically my big thing from the week that I can't get over. So that's why I was hoping you had more positive news. I did want to talk about the markets and then our discussion, because I'm looking, that's why I'm looking away from the camera, because I'm looking at the current state in the markets. I would love to hear your opinion. So crypto market cap the last week has gone down from 3.89 trillion to 3.86. That's just a little bit of a correction. The Bitcoin dominance from 58.6 to 57.5, but still, it was at 70% not too long ago. So that seems to be that, especially with Ethereum, dominance gone up from 13.4 to 13.9, went up another half point. And then the altcoin season index is also up from 41 to 58. So I thought that was interesting. So though all those things seem to point towards altcoin season, that was the second big topic at CoinFest, is it kicking off?
Last week, you said something interesting that Ethereum hits
I
an
did-
all-time high. So Bitcoin hits an all-time high, then Ethereum, and then it's officially altcoin season.
Usually. It
Usually.
hasn't happened. Usually,
Well,
yeah, but it hasn't happened.
This time was interesting because Bitcoin hit an all-time high. Last week, BNB hit an all-time high. And then
True.
Ethereum did hit its all-time high as well. Ethereum did skyrocket. Tommy Lee has been buying Ethereum. He's apparently the new MicroStrategy of Ethereum. And yeah, I feel like altcoin season's here. I think the trading competition does show that I've made substantial gains in my altcoins.
Well, getting there, that's where I was getting at, because it looks like the fear and greed is down from 50 to 47, which means I was trying to figure out fear and greed down from, what is the fear and greed index again? It's basically towards fear or greed. Greed is when it goes up to 100.
Greed is
Fear.
100, fear is 0.
Yeah. So now it's at 47. So that's what the only thing that I don't understand. It's going more towards fear and less
Yeah.
towards greed. All the other indicators are pointing towards altcoin season, except that one. So I'm still
Yeah.
not fully convinced. I'm using just a lot of data points to say I'm conflicted. That's what I'm really saying.
Well, look, it uses price momentum, volatility, derivatives market, and market composition. So, yeah. I mean, it just analyzes sentiment overall.
I want to get straight into the trading competition based on all this, because early June we started, each with $100. Look at that smile. You can't even hide your smile. It's horrible. Could you
Why
gloat
would I
a
hide
little
it?
less? Yeah, just to pretend you're humble and modest. Look at it go. I'm such a good loser too, by the way. So long story short, my portfolio is 4 cryptos, 4 shares. I have Bitcoin, Solana, Pudgy Penguins, Sui. And then in tech, I have NVIDIA, Broadcom, Electronic Arts, and Intel. Not equally each. Like I have only $10 in Pudgy Penguins, and I have $30 in, I think, Bitcoin and Solana. Long story short, I went down 2% over the last week.
Oh.
And I'm up 32% since June, but I went down from 34 to 32. How did you fare?
Well, since our conversation, I am down like $20 since we started recording because of my
From
190. And now I'm at 170.
Nish, just last week, just to recoup for our audience, was at 134. We were equal at 134. And the week before,
We've been
at
equal for
128.
2 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
And suddenly she shot up to 190. And
So-
so I thought of calling sick for this episode.
When the podcast ended last week, I was a bit bored of the trading competition, and I thought, well, let me shake it up. So I sold my meme coin, which at that time was Aztec, and I put into Solana, and I just kept it there.